Fantasy Kaleidoscope The Memories of Phantasm is a fan-made over anime of the Touhou Project series. It started in 2011 and ended in 2023, and was produced by the Jinjya Manpuku jinjya. It was directed by Warabi Nukaroku and written by Tommy, with US Satellite being the composer. Fun fact, this was my first proper contact with the Touhou fandom, which is not very good, because this series is like a love letter to the franchise and the community. So a dumb idiot like me, who at this point knew a handful of characters by name, had very little connection to this. Anyways, let's get into it. I want to mention that most of this is in 360p, so the footage will always be at least a little blurry. We start with two ominous entities talking. Intro plays mixed with Remilia's theme and it's an absolute banger. Marissa, Reimu and Cherno chilling at the Hakure shrine. We see Reimu being cold and eating oranges. Reimu does not appreciate Marissa's vibe. Marissa finds Reimu being broke cringe and decides to do the job herself. Marissa encounters Letty Whiterock out of all people. We don't bother spending too much time with her. We then see Aya recording footage for her cringe compilation. Marissa gets taken to Upside Down Town. And we get met with Virgil.
Heal your wounds, Dante. Get strong. After that, we'll settle the matter.
Ordinary magician trademark. We get into a chase sequence. Marissa uses her broom to fly even though she could do it without it just as well. Virgil, Yoma gets taken out by the power of broomstick. Then Yuyuko appears. Reimu asks why nobody ever just uses the entrance to come in, when Sakuya and Marissa both entered through the entrance. For some reason Sakuya shows up. Sakuya reminds her that she's broke and needs to get a job. By the way, this Sakuya winter outfit is amazing, more of this please. We cut back to Marissa fighting Yuyuko. Yuyuko then turns into Gojo. Yuyuko dislikes the lack of cherry blossoms due to the winter, which well, shouldn't be that uncommon considering cherry blossoms season lasts for like 2 weeks. Reimu then decides she can't be a couch surfer any longer, and saves Marissa in the last second. Yuyuko says ara ara. Master Spark being used. Reimu creates a barrier out of spell cards to trap her in place. I sure do hope this won't be a recurring theme. They win and then Yuko fucking explodes. Since we have a no-kill rule, they host a picnic to resolve the conflict, which I presume is Hanukkah. A bunch of characters showed up like Rumia, Nitari, the Scarlet Devil Mansion, Hina, and zoom in on Yuko and Moku. You say that as if Reimu didn't do the every single time. With that we end episode 1. Pretty solid start. I sure do hope they keep this momentum up. We start episode 2 at the Moria Shrine. This episode is immediately peak since it features all my favorites, specifically Suvako and Green Reimu. We open the door and oh my god, it's fanservice land. They don't even just have the basics. Fucking assume. Watching this scene, no, watching this entire anime is the embodiment of the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. You just point and gasp at your favorite character. The singular best character delivers a speech about ensuring the future's safety, which will most definitely happen. We get exactly 11 seconds of screen time for Satori and Koichi. I sure do hope we see them more often. We get a new opening. The Scarlet Devil Mansion shows up again. Sorry, I just need to talk about the OST again. As someone who has spent a good chunk of his time on this game's soundtrack, even the background music turns into the DiCaprio meme. Reimu then excuses herself and goes outside to touch some snow. She then for some reason knows that Yukari is there too. The characters further discuss who was responsible for the hot spring incident. Then Sakuya and Marissa reminisce on the glory days, when they tried to kill each other. We cut to a flashback. Marissa then kills Cherno in a hit and run. Marissa finds herself in front of the mansion and gets met with a useless gate. Marissa gets into the mansion with zero hindrance from Myling. Myling is really good at her job, you must know. Marissa goes into basement where she finds the average Touhou fan. Where she finds Flond. Flond wants to play a game. We cut to Emilia turning Gensokyo into the Nether. We get some random ass reaction shots. We cut back to Marissa fleeing from Flond. Surprisingly, she doesn't steal anything while passing Patchouli's library. Speaking of Patchouli, Patchouli gets rid of the loli. Marissa challenges the asthmatic and random devil girl to a duel, to which Patchouli fucking Exodia beams her. Episode 3 starts with a previously on Dragon Ball Z. Basically a flashback to a scene that was used to set up a flashback to a scene. We start with a nonsense scene that is necessary for the plot, as it could simply not work without it. Yukari steals Moku's sake, which gives Moku a motivation to fight Kagaya. Yeah mum, what the heck are you doing? After Marissa got deatomized last episode, we now switch perspective over to Reimu. Reimu flies towards the mansion and kills Rumia in a hit and run. Oh my god. Is this it? Myling doing her job as a guard of the mansion? Reimu beats her. This is it. This is the scene. The third out of 3 scenes that is known by people outside of the fandom. Next to UNO in was her and Bad Apple. Millions of AMV fans screamed at this moment. And I will say it as it is. This is the singular best moment of the entire show. It's perfectly animated and very cinematic. This simply is the best moment by a long shot. I'm even gonna go further and call this fight the singular best thing of Touhou media. That is fan created, which also means it only goes downhill from here.
Oh, chill. Literal chill.
あなたは何も理解できぬまま死ぬ。私を理解できるのはお嬢様だけ。解除。
Anyways, Reimu wins with the power of plot armor.
あんたみたいなのは別に珍しくないの。この先こっちでやっていくつもりなら、これ以上私に面倒かけないことね。いつの間に。
And we move on. While those two were fighting, Marissa somehow survived that attack. She comes back to have a talk with Flond. Marissa challenges her to a duel. Of fates. Patchouli would be dead, realistically, but she survives, because of the no-kill rule. We cut to Flond challenging Remilia to a duel of ages. Remilia looks menacingly into the camera.
そこで一体何をしているの？お姉様、私、お姉様をやっつけて外に出るわ。フラン、部屋でおとなしくしていなさいって言ったでしょ。今はそれどころじゃないの。それに、そのネズミは何？お前がレミリアだな。私は霧雨マリサ。今はこいつの立ち会い人だ。 姉様、私本気よ。
Once more we start with a flashback to a flashback. The creators must have really loved this party environment. Flaunt cosplays Gwyn. We then get a very sad flashback of Flaunt getting casually locked in the basement for 500 years. Now Flaunt wants to commit murder. The two begin a duel of fates. Marissa confronts Reimu about now having a job. They clash their swords together, and Remilia kills Flaunt. I mean hugs the loli.
くなっていたのね。お姉様、私のことが嫌いなんじゃないの？
Remilia decides that murder is cringe, to which they conclude to murder Marissa and Reimu. And an all-out brawl begins. They all introduce each other for some reason while Remilia delivers her villain monologue speech.
そんな面倒なものいらないわよ。あんたらが迷惑だから退治する。それだけよ。行くぜ、レム。行きましょう、お姉様。
Reimu really had no reason to flee there. You could have easily done the same thing to her that you did to Sakuya and Yuyuko. Reimu is frustrated about that mistake and decides to launch a fucking nuke on them.
これが白蓮の巫女の力。お姉様。
And with that everyone dies. And that's the end of the memories of Phantasm. Somehow nobody died during that attack. You just watched someone casually throw a meteor at you and that's your reaction? Speaking of, Reimu, you are telling me you were able to do that this entire time? And you used it just now? Like, I know you want to save spell cards and all, but I think there are better targets to use this one on. We cut back to the party. For some reason this is the incident that describes why the Scarlet Devil and Hakurei Shrine are on good terms now. They nearly killed you, destroyed your mansion, took out both your guards with very little issue. And you somehow are okay with this.
私の話は少し恥ずかしかったけど。
That's what you call that? Embarrassing? Oh yeah. Marissa being Marissa stole some books of course. Flaunt then shows up and is ready for another battle. And the others just watch. Even though half the people in this room could easily do something about it. Kanako and Suvako don't even give a fuck now that their shrine is broken. We start with shots of different flowers. Oh my god. New opening. Best girl shows and is going to beat up Cherno.
あたいの本能が危険を感じてるよ。あら、どうしてかしら。不思議ね。なんで近寄るの？あたい食べても美味しくないよ。
We cut to ketchup and mustard talking about the cherry blossoms. Aya decides this need to go into her cringe compilation. We cut back to the sunflower field. Yuko is. Yuko unfortunately didn't exterminate Cherno.
これは期待外れです。太陽の畑の妖怪は凶暴だって聞いてたのに、他は当たりますか。
We cut to Kagaya and Erin. Erin turns poison into medicine. And Twee, being the prank star she is, does a little bit of trolling. Chemical warfare.
この先死ぬっつの。大丈夫大丈夫。死なないって。あれ？そんな死ぬほどの量じゃないはず。
Then for some reason Moku shows up. Aya moves to the SDM because they didn't have enough screen time yet. Then Aya dies. Now we focus on them again because they are the real main characters. Not a lot happened during this episode, it felt more like an Aya episode than anything else. This is sort of where the series starts to lose its footing, but one thing after another. We cut back to Miss Tears' magic barbecue.
ごちそうさま。美味しかったよ。それじゃあ、お勘定ここに置きますね。ないだ。
Moku and Kaina literally just leave so that there are 2 empty seats. Then Shiki Eek shows up.
またサボって。いつまで経っても霊を運んでこないから、見に来てみればこの低たらく。志願が幽霊だらけ、花だらけの今こそ、サンズの川の船頭がいつも以上に働かねばならない時だと。
Kamachi then pushes her away with her boobs.
やつでしょ。
Shiki is here to atone for your sins. They talk about visiting the netherworld and then Shikiiki turns into low-tier god.
You serve no purpose in life. Your purpose in life is to be in my room sucking on my dick daily. Your purpose in life is to be in that chat blowing a dick daily. Your life is nothing. You serve zero purpose. You should kill yourself now.
Aya shows up and she finds that judging worthy. She then turns into Donald Duck and scream at them. By the way, is this a good moment to talk about Aya's highly impractical shoes, or are we just gonna pretend that's normal? We cut to Sanae and Yuakri talking about Holy Land. Yukari states that humans dying in the outside world become spirits. That causes the flowers to bloom.
の花々に寄りついて探せているの。あれが全部あんなにたくさん。
So if you're getting isekaded, you're getting reincarnated as a flower. Does this mean there's a Michael Jackson flower somewhere? Casually confirms that the humans are having World War III.
外の世界で大きな災害か戦争が起きたんでしょうね。そうね。60年に一度くらいはこういうことがあるのよ。
We cut back to Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, where she is sweeping a perfectly clean floor. Then the Prism Rivers and Suika show up to start an indie band with Reimu and Marissa. Sadly, that's not what happens. Suika is just here to tell them that Shikiki is coming to roast them. Shikiki shows up and Suika dips. Of course Aya has to show up again, and then Marissa punches the bits out of her. By the way, I'm pretty sure they played the Smash Brothers baseball bat sound here. We cut to Kanako and Suvako turning into the Akatsuki.
ですね。いざや偽りの社を打ちこぼち、幻想郷に誠の信仰を取り戻さ。
We start this episode with Cherno looking at no face. We cut to the Scarlet Devil Mansion, because of course we do. We haven't seen enough of those. Anyways, Myling is going on with her duties as a useless gate. We then see Alice get asked by Deiyase where Cherno is. Cherno states she is the strongest and demonstrates so by picking up a blue rupee. Wait, why are we in a completely different scene? Why did Myling show up only to be skipped over? We cut back to Sector and Cyrax at the shrine. For some whatever reason Sanae is there. Does she know? Cherno tells them about the Iron Giant.
もしかしてそれは巨大ロボットでは？は？外の世界では巨大ロボットなどというものは単なる幻想に過ぎませんでした。そうです。ということは幻想郷になら巨大ロボが存在していてもおかしくありません。
And Reimu is
また
unimpressed.
始まったぜ。あんたもう帰りなさいよ。
I'm glad someone agrees with me for once.
どうせ未来水曜バザーのアートバルーンを見間違いとかだろ。未来水曜
Cherno 9.
なんだそれ。
We then cut to a flea market where we met some very niche characters. Byakuran, Nazrin, and who are you? Apparently her name is Shutoromaru. I'm sure the three of her fans were very pleased at seeing this. Alice and Deiyase continue their search. Alice mentions the yokai that controls the sun. Cherno flies by and Deiyase follows. Cherno approaches the Soviet borehole.
なんとかセンター。なんとか暑いよ。
She then gets met with a fusion reactor. The sun god, Utsuho, uses her arm cannon to power a sun.
とりあえず死ね。
And Utsuho, Miss Ryoji. My dearest, I don't want to step on any toes, but isn't that thing a little too hot? That thing would be at least 5,000 degrees Celsius, not even including how much more energy it would produce at this size.
とりあえず死ね。
Also Cherno for being ice-based, you sure are holding up pretty well. Anyways, the Dyson Sphere wants to kill Cherno. Very understandable. We then cut to the shortest cameo in existence.
ちゃんとやってるかしら。 お姉ちゃん、心配しすぎ。だといいけど。
Another 11 seconds of Satori and Koichi. And thus Koishi's only spoken line. I have so many questions. Why is this here? Why is this in the middle of the fight and then we resume like nothing happened? Why is it so short? Why did they bother adapting Koishi's theme and making a whole new OST only to play for such a short amount of time? My only theory is that this is supposed to be foreshadowing and that Koichi will appear in an episode that hasn't been released yet. Considering how we are at 17 episodes and the show is not finished, this seems like the most likely explanation, especially with how vague the two are. Anyways, we cut back to Utsuho melting Cherno alive. Deiyase saves Cherno and they do a fusion dance.
Yes. 必殺パーフェクトフルーツ。
Tsuvako turns into Speedwagon and tells Utoshu she isn't supposed to kill people. Bummer. I hate it when I accidentally almost kill someone. Hate it when that happens. The fucking Devil Mansion again? Why? Why does this need to be in every episode? We see that Myling is still doing her job, which for some reason needed to be foreshadowed earlier in the episode. First of, why do Tsuvako and Alice look so incredibly short here? Second, why is Nitri here? Third, we just got another Myling scene that didn't get explored. Also nice balloon Tsuvako. You should consider doing a Japanese parade. We start with Kagaya being ominous, which is what she does best. The three of them look like they are planning a heist. Erin then shoots at the moon.
おい覚醒しつつ天文密奏法
New opening. And the background music is Moku's theme. I know someone who would enjoy that fact. We of course start at the fucking Scarlet Devil Mansion again. Remilio and Flon don't believe in the moon landing. Neither do Reimu and Yukari. This night appears to be pretty imperishable. Yuyuko, Sane and Yomu make their way up a mountain and everyone looks at the moon as if it's somehow different. Apparently a King of Hill match must have started, because Marissa and Alice are also going on tour. Everyone is really pressed about this moon. I sure do wonder why. Kinda doesn't want any yokai in the human village.
たとえその人形使いでもだ。用心深いことね。ケーネ先生よ。待ってだって夜は明けないぜ。私らはその異変を解決しようとしてるんだ。
By the way, why is Alice such a side character? She never does anything but she's just always there. Kinda directs them to the bamboo forest, where they will meet her wife, I mean close friend. Reimu and Marissa shoot each other.
出たな、妖怪。ご挨拶じゃないか、レイム。紛らわしいわね、マリサ。それにアリスまで。ここで何やってるのよ。もちろん妖怪退治に決まってるぜ。レイム、遊んでたら終わらないわよ。
Now the McDonald's squad is combined with three blondes. The MD Donald's sisters argue about Yukari being there, and they start shooting each other again.
出せ、 お前もレイムもまとめて退治してやるぜ。そうすりゃ無弊解決だ。やったわね。マリサ、ゆかりは私が引き受けるわ。無理はしないで。
We cut back to the mafia meeting.
ますね。うどん下帝、予定通りになさい。決して敵を姫様に近づけぬように。お任せください、師匠。
Marissa and Raymond clash, which I think is pretty cool.
これで角をつけてやる。マスタースパーク。まだまだやった。
Marissa then starts a California forest fire.
なんだ、こんなところに建物が。大当たり。ここよ、レイム。本当？マリサとバカやってる場合じゃないわね。避けたのかよ。マリサ、一時休戦。この中に異変の真犯人がいるの。なんだと？本当の異変は真犯人が月を偽物にすり替えたことなのよ。月だった？
I'm sorry, what? They replaced the moon? Ryson attacks looking like a raid boss. Vibing to this music. Lots of shooting and explosions. This is an insane remix for Ryson's theme.
月は妖怪の源よ。返してもらうわ。今夜の私はレイムの味方よ。とっとと倒してレイムたちを追いかけましょう。地上の妖怪どもめ、この永遠でを突き止め
Yukari, Alice, and Ryson
2対
fight.
1で勝てるつもり。
Then Ryson activates her Sharingan and traps them in a
私のルナティックレッドアイ
genjutsu.
スの前ではな。現実。
Knuckles and Tails then enter a room that is most definitely not a trap. They get met with the scariest, most ominous entity alive. Twee Nabba.
人間はただでさえ寿命が短いのにね。
Twee reveals her French heritage and tries to stop them.
おい、さっき大口叩いてもうそれか。
She then gives out her backstory and we cut back to another very necessary onsen scene. Why are you telling them all this? What? Plot twist? This room was a trap? Who could have seen that coming? Then the Dominican Republic attacks. They challenge her to a duel and another hail of projectiles begins.
ねえ、お前が異変の真犯人ってわけだな。私はキリサムマリサ、妖怪退治の専門家だ。退治する前に名前を聞いておいてやるぜ。
矢心、
なんだか姫の従者とやら。私は白霊レーム、白霊の巫女よ。月をすり替えるような輩には。
Oh man, how is Rayma gonna escape this? Probably not with her protagonist powers, right?
私、上妙な人間が叶うとでも。
やってみなきゃわからないぜ。
決して姫様は渡しません。
あのウサギが言ってたのは本当らしいな。それが月をすり替えた理由ってわけね。はっはっ。聞いてない。
We cut back to Yukari and Alice trapped in Ryson's domain expansion.
もはや私の姿を ちるがよ。拉致が開かないわね。仕方ないわ。切り札を使いましょう。切り札
Yukari uses her trump card and summons Yuko and Yomu in attack position, which, for some reason, scared Raisin.
任されたわ。さあヨム、腕の見せ所よ。何言おうか同じと言ったはずだ。
To which Yomu kills Raisin.
妖怪の期待しこの老眼剣切れるものなどあまりない。
Yukari literally just used an assist, said assist did one attack and left. Yukari for DBFZ. We cut back to Erin fighting the Flash and Reverse Flash.
あなたたちには死んでもらうほかありません。神父天神の警部。じゃねえ目で追いつけないってとか。マリさ
ん Marissa gets hit and dies, or does she? We start off, not where we last left off, but instead with a flashback where Kaina teaches Marissa, presumably to become the ordinary magician trademark. Also now the subtitles are the top for some reason, I don't know why. Marissa gets hit and dies.
あら、お邪魔だったかしら。さくら
Are you serious? The Scarlet Devil again? Sakuya saves Marissa in the last second, yay. Remilio also shows up. Erin is much stronger than all of these, also she is kinda immortal.
地上の妖怪風情が、その思い上がりの対象、高くつきますよ。
花人とか付き人とか知らないが、お前の敗北の運命はこのレミリア・スカーレットを敵に回した時点ですでに決定されていたのよ。さあサクヤ、全力で行くわよ。
はい、お嬢様。
Anyways, Remilia turns into Undyne, somehow makes all of Erin's projectiles just disappear and replaces them with spears. Erin blocks with her shield. After it breaks, she simply flies out of the way, somehow. Then Marissa and Reimu double-teamed her. You should really try using your bow, Erin. Why couldn't you block that? Was your shield on cooldown? Erin dies and we get a flashback to her talking with Kaguya about drinking the immortality elixir.
姫様、ずっと謝罪したいと思っていたのです。あなたの飲んだ不老不死の蓬莱の薬を作ったのは私。その罪とかは本来私にあります。
そのように責任を感じることはありません。おかげで私は 月とは違う世界を知ることができたのですから。今月への帰参が許されたと聞いても、もはや私にそのつもりはありません。このまま地上で生きてゆきたいと思います。
姫様、本気なのですね。こうなるような気はしていました。ならば私も蓬莱の薬を飲んで地上に残り、共に永遠の時を過ごしましょう。もうあなたを一人になどさせません。決して、そして永遠に。
And then they kiss, and they were roommates. The moon disappears and gets replaced with the moon. Rysin somehow survived being cut in half, and Tui is just kinda chilling. Alice again plays her side character part, never does anything and just stands there. Yukari roasts Seirin.
内と外とを反転させ、外の世界で力が失われるほど内では力が強くなる。忘れられた妖怪たちの楽園、幻想郷を形作る結界、私たちの最高傑作よ。月からの追っ手のような力ある存在は外からは決して入ってこれないわ。私は密室の中に密室を作ろうとしていた。
Kagaya then spawns in. There was not a lot to say during this episode. This script is starting to suffer throughout the series. We kick this episode off where we last left off, which is rare. Kagaya introduces herself and INTI.
おみことよ、客人方。ようこそ永遠邸へ。私が主人の蓬莱さん角也よ。
Kagaya has always looked like he's just wearing her bed clothes. She introduces her guests with attempted murder. Sure, what else would you do?
さあさあ、お客人方。まだお開きじゃないわよ。久方ぶりのお客様なのだから、相応のおもてなしをさせていただくわ。もう隠れ住む必要もないんだし、朝まで果てに弾幕勝負よ。話のわかるお姫様だぜ。そうこなくちゃ。うわぁ、ちょっとマリサ。私たちも行くわよ、昨夜。はい。
Yukari dips and Alice stands on the sideline. We cut to Cherno being carried by Fujiwara no Moku. I have a buddy who could say a lot about this scene. I even asked him. His response was this, saying it captured his emotions perfectly. I don't know if I should be concerned or not. Anyways, let's focus back on the story. Again, Moku goes her way of helping everyone, until a certain someone may arrive. A few random reaction shots. Of course the SDM again. Kagaya is dead, Sag. For some reason Hat 8 shows up. I guess we needed a replacement. We get to Yuyuko eating, and for some reason Sane is with them and not the Moria shrine.
それで場所はここでいいのね。
はい、あちこち見て回りましたが、ここが一番です。
それじゃすぐ始めましょう。白麗の巫女はまだしばらく忙しくしてるから、今のうちにね。
Best girl Kanako shows up again. Oh yeah, remember Suwako's and Kanako's ominous plot, from like 2 episodes ago? No? Yeah, because it was actually 6 episodes ago. We start the episode off with an announcement. Raisins asks the people of Gensokia to take a residency test. What do you have to do for that? Simple, become a hitman. You need lots of guts. Raisin tells them to kill this homeless woman and steal her concert tickets. We get only good shot of Cherno. Sakuya tells us that you can only get invited through a letter.
あなたも招待状もらったのね。大会の裏に隠された真の肝試しにご招待。肝試しの夜に現れる不老不死の怪物を倒し、 その生き肝をゲットすればあなたも不老不死にって。
Remilia for smash confirmed. Marissa goes out to get her license to kill. Once in the bamboo forest we see Remilia walking alone. Remilia finds a random white-haired hobo. Deciding to make Moku's theme into a metal remix was a very good choice.
さすがは不老不死の怪物といったところかしら。
吸血鬼か。黙って通り過ぎれば見逃してやったものを。せいぜい数百歳のひよこ、不死の私と勝負できるなどと。
People apparently really liked this stomp that Moku does here. Then she starts firebending.
燃え上がるなよ。
私は高魔界の主レミリア・スカーレット。その自信が本物ならこれが幻想郷の頂上対決ということになるかしら。さあお前を倒しその生き肝を手に入れてやるわ。
Kagaya and Reimu have a conversation about her. Kagaya once again 100% enemies with Moku and nothing else. They get interrupted by Sakuya, because of course they do.
不老不死になんかならないし。はあ？
やはり全部嘘だったのね。このウサギが吐いたわ。
あら、バレちゃった。
Marissa arrives at the forest, and we see another DB's fight take place. Then Kaina shows up. She is here to tell Marissa that a 2 vs 1 is cringe.
あの吸血鬼に付け立ちするつもりか、マリサ。2対1とは感心しないな。なんだ、ケーネン先生は不老不死の怪物側か？ふん、なら先生を入れて2対2でも、私は構わないぜ。よかろう、マリサ。威勢がいいのはお前の長所だが、不注意が多いのは直せと何とも言ったはずだな。
It's a full moon, which means Kaina can bloodbend now. I mean she's gonna turn into a werewolf. I mean she turns green. After turning into Green Lantern she activates Heaven's Door, and rewrites Marissa ever getting here. We cut back to Kagaya looking menacing.
思ったより早かったわね。
We then cut to Remilia and Moku fighting. Moku then turns into Captain Falcon.
焼き尽くしてやる！お嬢様、手を引いてください。そいつの生き肝を食べれば不老不死というのは永遠手の姫の。
They clash and of course get interrupted by Sakuya again because we almost had an interesting fight happen, and we can't have that, not with this budget. Remilia turns Moku into a jelly donut.
永遠手の姫だと？
Moku and Kagaya continue their marriage dispute.
惜しかったわね。
毎度毎度ちょっかいかけてきやがって。
モカ、地上の普通の人間だったあなたが不老不死になったことに私としては多少の責任を感じてるわけよ。
はあ？
まあ元はといえばあなたが勝手に蓬莱の薬を持ち出して飲んだせいなんだから自業自得なんだけどね。
そんなこと分かってんだよ。
とはいえ月から蓬莱の薬を持ち込んだのは私だからこうやっていろいろイベントを考え出して少しでもあなたの退屈を紛らわせようとしてるわけよ。
お前が楽しんでるだけだろうが。
そこは一石二鳥ってやつ？
ふざけんな。5、6仲介まとめてぶっ殺してやる。
私たちも手伝うわよ。あらまあ。
We then cut to a firework. Kinda beats the shit out of Marissa. Kagaya then turns into a goofy goober.
I'm a goofy goober, yeah. Goofy goober, yeah. ねえモコ。すべての人間が死にたい。あらゆる妖怪が消え去った後も、私たちは嫌でも永遠に付き合っていくんだから、今後ともよろしくね。
絶対にお前を始末する方法を見つけ出してやる。
ああ、そういうのもいいわね。
Damn, that sure sounds interesting. Too bad you two are not part of the Scarlet Devil Mansion, otherwise we might have actually seen this battle.
すごいですね。私にはただの石にしか見えないわ。
お嬢様、不老不死の生き肝を私に食べさせるつもりだったんですか？
まったく、無駄足だったわ。
妖怪に比べれば人間の寿命は確かに短いかもしれませんが、生きている間はずっと一緒にいますよ。
おかえり。
片付けてくれてたのか。すまないな。
僕一人じゃ大変でしょ。迷いの竹林が幻想郷に開かれて、女犬の仕事は減るかと思ったら、そうでもなさそうね。
まあ、退屈はしなさそうだよ。
We start the episode with Sane challenging Reimu to a fight. Sane calls Reimu broke.
ろくな神もいなければ参拝客もいない。いるのは妖怪だけ。こんな神社は無意味です。うちはそういうのじゃないのよ。私たちは幻想郷に真の信仰をもたらすためにやってきました。刮目してみなさい。奇跡を起こす神の力を。
For no apparent reason, Sane starts shooting bullets. But like, aren't you too well off? We showed that one party at the Moria shrine like 4 times. Weren't you on good terms? Anyways, Green Reimu becomes satanic and starts shooting pentagrams at her. Sane breaks the empty donation bin. Sane delivers a message to meet up with Kanako in 3 days in the parking lot and fight it out. Suika keeps being a drunk Japanese goblin, while Reimu prepares for war. Then Shizuo Aki shows up, and dies. Then Minoriko Aki shows up, and also dies. I bet all 2 fans of them were very pleased by seeing their 12 seconds of screen time. After Reimu killed 2 kids, she flies over the ocean. Then Hina shows up and also dies. Reimu is actually speedrunning the Mountain of Faith at this point. These are some actual gold splits right here. Weird, we are covering the Touhou 10 incident and we have already seen 5 out of 10 characters. I bet this episode didn't have any budgeting issues at all. Marissa and Aya talk about an emergency. Apparently war isn't an emergency for Marissa. This conversation brought nothing to the plot, but we got a bunch of Marissa screen grabs, so I'm not complaining. We then cut to Yukari for no reason.
天空と交戦中です。レイムはさすがに事態の重大さを理解してるわね。さて、白麗の巫女の戦いぶりを見せてもらおうとしましょうか。
We cut to Reimu killing Momiji. Reimu's plot armor in this episode is off the charts. We get into more useless dialogue with Aya. For some reason Reimu is not being the Terminator towards her. Aya fights Reimu, which is the first fight we don't skip over, and then the episode abruptly ends.
クレの巫女。しかしここは引けません。なぜなら今の私は新聞記者にあらず。妖怪の山のカラス天狗社名丸あや。さあ、お山を代表してお相手しましょう。風神この葉かぐれ。人の
We continue where we left off with Aya trying to beat Reimu with the power of Canada. Aya is too fast for Reimu, somehow. Reimu, you have shown two things in your fight against Sakuya. You are really fast and you can stop people from moving. How is this a challenge for you, but the time stopping isn't? Aya does what she does best and delivers an unskippable cutscene. Reimu then once more does her Sailor Moon pose and finally entraps Aya, which she did with zero hesitation against Yuyuko. After that waste of time we cut to Marissa sneaking around the mountain. Then a Kappa shows up. Then Nitori shows off all her Doofenshmirtz gadgets, including a ballistic missile. Nitori is taking this war very serious. Marissa consents to be a test subject towards the pickle Kappa that makes bombs in her free time. Now Reimu is back to being the Terminator, and Best Girl shows up, not you.
ときた白麗の巫女よ。我こそは守谷神社の神、八坂かな子であるぞ。
白麗神社の巫女、白麗霊夢よ。あんたが親玉ね。そっちの挑発に乗ってわざわざ切ってやったわよ。
After the two shrine maidens introduce each other, we get a Gensokyo woman who wants to fist fight God. Kanako asks Reimu to kill herself and give up her shrine because she's broke.
なき神社など神社にあらず、我らは幻想郷に神への信仰を取り戻すために来たったものである。白麗の巫女よ、我が軍門に下れ。さなくば神社を廃業せよ。
To which Reimu calls herself law enforcement. Reimu took out Aya, but we still need an unnecessary reporter, so Hatake jumped in to cover her shift. Oh boy, my favorite character is gonna fight Reimu. I bet this fight will be really epic and nice looking. Sane shoots more pentagrams while Kanako uses her massive pillars for defense. Ran and Yukari act as sports commentators the entire time. Oh boy, this looked really promising. I sure do hope the next episode will be really satisfying and epic and not cut short by a certain someone. We start the episode off with Suvako being Suvako and being real casual about the fact they just started a war. They keep fighting, instead we focus on more reporter action. Then a random drill shows up. I sure do wonder who this belongs to. Hopefully they won't distract from the battle for too long. Marissa and Nitori explode again. Reimu is distracted. They could have very well just taken her out here. Marissa joins the fight. The battle continues now with Marissa. She does her only trick and for some reason Sane does not dodge, even though she should know that Marissa has this move. Like seriously, you were at the shrine with them before, how are you so unprepared? She turns into Yamcha. Sane fucking dies.
Yoku ganbatta yo, Sanae. あとはゆっくりしてて。
Finally Suvako shows up and decides to join in, just now.
はなかったんだけどね。サナエがこれだけ頑張ったんだ。私だけ見てるわけにはいかないなって。スワコ様。我こそは守谷神社を知らしめす神。守谷スワコ。守谷神社に神がもう一人？これは大スクープです。こんなの聞いてないわよ。
Aya? What do you mean? The Moria Shrine has another goddess? You didn't know that Suvako Moria lives in the Moria Shrine? Bad reporter, I'm gonna leave a bad review. The red and yellow fights red and yellow. They fire more bullets and Suvako shoots more colorful bullets.
我らが未来のため白麗の巫女を下す。
神尾の諏訪大社の菜園と行こうか。 逃がさないよ。なんだ？
八坂かな子が風を操る力を持つなら、森谷巣箱は地を操る力を持つというわ。予定外の助っ人というケチがつきましたが、森谷神社が奥の手を出した今、大勢は消したというところでしょうか。
She can manipulate the winds. This is manipulating the winds. This rock hand? Sure, go ahead. This episode ends also really abruptly. I must say, I was prepared to be disappointed, but this was pretty neat so far. Let's hope it ends well. This is the second to last episode after all. On to the last episode, for sure the last episodes. There are no episodes after this. This for sure is the final episode with no 18th episode ever happening. We start off with Sanae, who has fallen and can't get up. Again, I want to say this hand is somehow controlled by wind. Reimu, you are telling me you had that spell the entire time? Marissa turns into a green lantern and insta-kills Kanako, somehow. Don't know why these pillars suddenly aren't strong enough. Reimu does her magical girl transformation and launches another nuke. They all got defeated and somehow all got their clothing particularly ripped in such a way that all the fan service is showing yet not showing. For Sanae they even went as far as to suggest a nipple. Scandalous. They have to pay for the damages, not because it's their duty but because Reimu is too broke to afford it. Reimu is a real alcoholic in this show. Seriously, she drinks like every second episode. You are starting to rival the Goblin. Cherno and I watch Sanae, for some reason. Is this how the party from episode 2 started? Everyone is drinking. Hey, they even made sure to give more screen time to the rest of the cast and not just these four. Everyone has a drinking contest because alcohol solves all your problems. Reimu walks outside and does the same thing from way earlier by somehow knowing Yukari is near. They talk a lot. Everyone shows up for a group photo. How this sure is a weird spot to end the show at. I mean, what else could they show? The only more ridiculous thing would be, I don't know, an onsen or something. Is that Tenshi?
地上の妖怪のなんと不甲斐ないやはり私自らが出ればならない。
Yes! Hell yeah! Hey, come on, baby! Come on! Yes! Come on! Ah! Yes! Yes!
What? What do you mean? What do you mean I missed an episode? No, I didn't. Episode 17 was for sure the end. I mean, how else could they end this, right? Fine. Episode 18, the finale. So I guess we can go in for it one last time, due to time and money, or as the producer put it, since the financial situation of Manpuku Shrine has not been chronically good for some time, the fantasy Kaleidoscope is basically in a state where it can end at any time. This is their last episode. We start off with Reimu fucking dying. This is the first time we ever see blood in the show. I skipped the opening. I'm sure it showed nothing ridiculous that could happen during this final episode. Suika and Marissa pick peaches.
言語の新聞屋がそういう情報入手したって下で騒いでてさ。どうせ出来上げだろうけど、一応はレイムの耳に入れといた方がいいかも。
More tension and even the slightest climbs of Iku.
よし、ちょっと探ってみるぜ。万一本当ならレイムを助けないとな。
Marissa indeed ignored Tenshi, which I consider as a crime. Well, not me maybe, but someone. So, that 11 seconds Satori and Koichi cameo from a while ago. This is what it led up to. This scene is what was foreshadowed. Satori wants Marissa out and then Atsuho and Rin fly through the screen for no apparent reason. Marissa can't find Waldo, I mean Reimu. Byakuran shows up and says,
あらあら、まあまあ。レイムさんが行方不明？確かにうちの専門家ならお力になれますよ。
この盗人の手伝いするんですか？
For all of you undefined fantastic object fans, this scene is for you. So far this has been really tame for a final episode. Marissa flies to the Scarlet Devil Mansion because of course she does. Smiling as always, a very good gate. She enters and finds nothing. Once she walks in, she isn't confronted with anyone, until Reimu is fucking dead.
Emilia!
Apparently Reimu had no more plot armor left, so she got eaten by Remilia.
見たわね。いけるわね、このお酒。拓也が作るのよ。
Damn it. Okay, so, Reimu lives. And no blood got shed. Remilia decides to prank Marissa.
あら、そう？まあ、3日も飲んでればそういうこともあるわよ。ねえ、そんなに経ってる？ここ暗いから昼とか夜とかわかんないのよね。吸血鬼だし。もう。よし、一回神社に戻って掃除を。酒取っといてよね。お前、レイムは見たわね。ちくしょう、やりやがったな、レミリア。レイム、敵を撃ってやるぜ。その口、塞ぐ必要がありそうね。
And Sakuya comes back from a shopping trip. Anyways, she stops time and sees the Among Us reference. レイム somehow sobered up in 5 seconds.
状況を説明してもらえるかしら。わけわかんないけど、今すごく出て行きづらいわ。
あら、マリサ、奇遇ね。レイム生きてたのか
Wait, what the fuck? I wasn't ready for that. Why did I just see Cherno's butt? Oh god. What is this? Why is everyone in an onsen? I don't even know if I can show this. This is only one step away from actual softcore stuff. So I'm gonna censor it just to make sure. Yes, what you are seeing is real. The ending to Memories of Phantasm is everyone getting in an onsen and getting naked. This is really uncomfortable. Aya has a camera which implies she is taking pictures here.
次はもっとでかいネタを考えます。このインチキ新聞や。私は面白かったからいいけど。お嬢様、お酒とかこぼしたらちゃんと言ってください。怒りませんから。ああ、ほんとバカバカしい。心配して損した。マリサが踊らされなきゃ何も起きなかったのよ。
Yes, they are using camera angles and objects, but again the only things that are not showing are nipples and him not risking a strike over this.
あれだろう。ちょっと冷静になって観察すれば分かったでしょ。人のせいにしないでよ。そもそもお前がミコの仕事サボって3日も飲んでるからつけ込まれるんだよ。それは関係ないでしょ。
Okay, for AU it was only implied, but Hat8 is quite literally taking pics of people in the nude. Has Banberu opened up the erotic section?
お前いい加減にしろよ。取り乱しすぎなのよ。あんた私のこと好きすぎでしょ。お前その性格ほんとなんとかしろよ。こっちのセリフよ。あんたお前こそその腹立つ態度だよ。
Yukari finally cuts away from that and we move on to Gensokyo. Okay, now it's no longer applied. Aya, what the heck? By the way, you can't see it due to my censorship, but these two are full tits out right now, even the nipples. If I had to worry about demonetization, this is where I would do it.
That's it? That's the last episode? That was just a bunch of cheap walk cycles! What a rip!
Wait, that's it? That sure is a way of ending an anime. Everyone gets naked and we get a bunch of fan service, unclouding some characters that make me a bit uncomfortable. Buckle your seatbelts. Here comes the critique. This very much is a slice of life more than anything. So if that is not your kind of show, this won't be it for you. Even though I don't know why you came this far into the video if that were the case. Let's start. First of all, I want to mention to stay fair here. This is a fan-made anime with next to no budget made by a select few people, so comparing it to a studio's production is simply unfair. This is the passion project that they put their work into and then give it to us completely for free. Let's start with the positives. The soundtrack is an absolute banger. They feel like the original OSTs but with their own spin put on it. And since I am well versed in Touhou OST, I can confidently say, this is a plus point. The animation quality is top notch. If you showed me this out of context and told me this was an official production, I would believe you. The designs are very faithful and I can appreciate that. Some fights can look very appealing and satisfying at points, but more on that in a bit. Next up, I already said this, but I'm going to say it again. The fact that we got this completely for free while the producers had zero obligation to actually make this happen is something we should be very appreciative of. Now let's get into the negatives. I watched and read up on criticism. I even asked you guys what your thoughts were. And I mostly see 4 major points of discussion. Fanon versus canon. A lot of people criticize this for focusing on fanon instead of canon, which I find fine. It results in a lot of characters being watered down to 1 or 2 things. It also results in a lot of fan service. But I'm going to be honest, if this had been more truthful to the canon, this may have turned out even weaker, since most viewers associate the characters with their online presence. Heck, I make videos on Touhou Project, yet I have never played any of the games myself. The Touhou canon is pretty much nonsensical unless someone explains it to you. Piecing it together yourself is kinda hard. Sure, this show could have attempted that, but where do you even start? The main center of this critique is often Shikiiki. In canon Shiki is seen as this enforcer, where her rules are important and people generally listen to her and treat her word with respect. Meanwhile here, she is mostly reduced to a nagging Donald Duck, who is treated as a joke. Now is this a problem or not? It depends. If you are like me and you never read the manga, never read all the wiki articles and overall never fully got into the Touhou lore, this portrayal of them is fine. It could most definitely be worse. However, if you are not like me and you do know a lot about the lore, this anime for you has probably as much significance as an episode of The Simpsons. Now what is my opinion on that matter? Look, take a glance inside my head. Do I look like I can comprehend the difference between all these characters' fanon and canon material, the pacing and the fights? This is a big one. The pacing, especially the fights, are completely off the charts. It is constantly switching and cutting between scenes and perspectives. Fights are cut short and interrupted. Instead of focusing on the plot, we rather show Aya doing absolutely nothing. Here, let me show it to you. Take an episode of Mob. Cut away the beginning flashback, the opening and the ending, and you are left with 5 to 8 minutes of content. Half of which is gonna be spent on tangents and the Scarlet Devil Mansion, which is shown at least once per episode. I'd like to take you back to the Moth arc where Reimu was speedrunning through the cast to get to Kanako as quickly as possible. Now I understand this was done because they were running out of time and money, but even still, why include a bunch of characters that have less than a minute of screen time? Look at Alice. Alice really is only here to stand on the sideline and watch. She appears multiple times, but every time she does absolutely nothing. The writing is very odd. Since this show focuses on fanon, the screen time disruption is really out of place. This ties into my previous point of, why include a bunch of characters that will be on screen for less than a minute? The answer is simple, so you can point at the screen and do the Wojak face once your favorite character shows up. And I mean, I'm guilty of this too. I would be lying if I said I wasn't paying more attention once Kanako, my favorite character, is on screen. The writing is all over the place. Not only do we go perfect cherry blossom, then embodiment of Scarlet Devil, then phantasmagoria of Flower View, then Mountain of Faith, and then subterranean animism. It also clearly is not a cohesive story and more like an episode of The Simpsons. Let me explain. Imagine the beginning of an incident is the couch, then the incident happens, which is the episode, and then it ends, which is them on the couch again. Basically, once an incident starts or finishes, it's like the previous events did not take place. Like how at the beginning they are celebrating at the Moria Shrine, yet later the Moria Shrine and Hakure Shrine are suddenly at war. The ending. Oh, the ending. Oh boy, the ending. The ending is weird to say the least. It would have been almost impossible to have a spectacular and satisfying conclusion to such a massive IP in less than 15 minutes, hell in less than 10 minutes if we were being realistic. But really? Everyone goes to an onsen and we get a bunch of fan service. That's the best we could get? Half an episode of another SDM fight that is once more cut short by Sakuya, and the other half is spent in an onsen that I was too afraid to show uncensored. This is not only a disappointing ending, it also doesn't conclude anything. The whole message of that episode is basically, despite everything that has happened, we can all still get along. So let's get naked together. And I know, I am aware that onsens and being nude in one is much more normal in Japanese culture than it is in Western culture, I really do. However, this is similar to a beach episode, complete filler where everyone acts out of character and it had no significance to the story. That serves no purpose other than to please the fans, which you can do. I don't mind it, I'm not offended by it. But this being the final episode that wraps it all up due to not having enough money, is kinda ridiculous. They could have easily scraped the Marissa and Ramilia fight and instead wrote something that concluded everything at least a little more satisfying. Here is my personal take. First off, the Scarlet Devil Mansion, and with that the Touhou 6 cast. Look, guys, I am aware Touhou 6 is by far the most iconic game with the most iconic and beloved characters of the series. But do they really have to show up once per episode? I love Sakuya as much as the next guy, but at some point I started sighing out loud because of how often she showed up to save the day. Also because it always felt like they were cutting the fight short. My best examples of this is Eren vs Marissa and Reimu. Eren in this fight shows to be very strong and intelligent, giving Marissa and Reimu a real struggle. And how does the fight end? Sakuya and Remilia show up to save the day and one-shot Eren. And why do they show up? Because they also looked at the moon. Remember at the beginning when I said this anime is the embodiment of the Leonardo DiCaprio meme? Watching this scene, no, watching this entire anime is the embodiment of the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. You just point and gasp at your favorite character. This holds true. This entire anime is basically just, look, we included your favorite and character and look, they did their thing. And unless your favorite character happens to be from these games, they will at most have a screen time of 3 minutes. The writing at some point becomes really boring and tedious to sit through. If I hadn't been writing this script, I would have probably already forgotten most of what happened. Once I reached episode 12, I was really dreading to keep on watching as it just wasn't as fun anymore. Now again, let's stay fair here. Imagine you were tasked with writing, directing and animating a Touhou-based anime, and you must include as many characters as you can. Now Touhou is no stranger to having a ton of characters, so you will already need to cut the list in half. I say this, because I myself wouldn't know what to do differently. I am a long-time writer. I am somewhat of a professional myself. And I tell you, I too couldn't write something coherent if I had to include all the fan favorites. But more on that later. It is very clear they were on a tight budget. This is especially noticeable in episode 13, the one where Emilia fights Fujiwara no Moku. This fight could have been really amazing and very visually pleasing. But whether due to money or time constraints, probably both. This scene is cut short, much like any fight after Sakuya vs Reimu. No, seriously. Raisen vs Yukari is cut short. Eren vs Reimu and Marissa is cut short. Heck, even Sakuya vs Reimu is cut short. I understand they don't have the budget to make big, spectacular, choreographed and aesthetically pleasing fight scenes. Fight scenes are very expensive and time-consuming, that's why shows like Demon Slayer or Jujutsu Kaisen are so expensive. Yet I find it somewhat disappointing how a fight is set up to be potentially very satisfying only to be cut short by some Deus Ex Machina BS. Most characters are just here to do their mean thing and then never appear again. For example, Yuka Kazumi. She appears once, she's in her flower field, she looks menacing and does her plot twist thing, and then we never see her again. Now let's get back to that one question I asked earlier. Could I personally write a better story? The answer is, a hard maybe. If you gave me time to really sink my teeth into it and write a coherent story within 17 episodes, I could come up with something, and if that is realistic as an adaptation or not, I do not know. I'm not on some time crunch. This video right here is not even a tenth of the work the animators put in. And hey, maybe this is an idea for a future video, writing my own Touhou anime or manga. With that, have a good day, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Or else.